Commissioner Varga.
Here.
Commissioner Marecki has requested to be excused. Commissioner Baidoon.
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson.
Present.
Chair Kinlock.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda.
B, Chairman's remarks.
I have no remarks at this time. Next item on the agenda.
Item C, approval of the May 18, 2022 meeting minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported to approve the meeting minutes from May 18, 2022. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, this action stands approved. Next item on the agenda.
Item D1 under new business, an update from James Heath, Carter Fisher, Jay Shander, Bill Rath, and Victoria Ennis Edwards regarding the status of the criminal justice complex.
At this time, the chair will recognize James Heath for the purpose of a report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good afternoon. James Heath, Wayne County Corporation Counsel. I have Carter Fisher also from Wayne County Corporation Counsel's office with me as well. I appreciate your time, Mr. Chairman. Just a few brief updates. We've submitted the construction update for the review of this committee, and things are continuing to go smoothly there. As you've heard me say several times, we're moving out of we're firmly out of the sole construction phase, and we are walking and chewing gum at the same time with our transition. And the real effort that we spend now are preparing our end users to move into the facility. And that is primarily driven by not only our construction dates, but also our contract, which gives us specified time periods after turnover to move into the facility. And so I continue to keep you updated on the latest dates that we have for completion of the facility. Substantial completion is now scheduled for December of 22. And so that's in line with the dates that I've given you recently. Final turnover for March and the period in between substantial completion and final turnover for those of you who know much about or know anything about construction alike. And there's, punch list items that we will do and items that we will kind of go through and check to make sure that those items are complete and are ready to accommodate. It's a little bit more of a complicated scenario for substantial completion for a house that someone might build, obviously, to a very secure adult detention facility. And so there's a lot of moving parts in terms of the sheriff's department going in, reviewing, along with the owner's representative, CGL, and the developer and general contractor. And then once you complete that process, you have to maintain its security going forward. And so that's something that we're coordinating with the sheriff's department and their end user team and transition teams. And then we would begin moving in sometime around February, and we would have a 6-month period beyond that to complete that. And so we are working with Bedrock right now, who will take over the existing facilities that we have and determining exactly what condition we'd need to turn those over in for those buildings. And I can't tell you here today exactly what their plans are for the existing facilities, but for those, any that would be torn down, we may have a different obligation with respect to moving all of our stuff that we're not going to use out versus those buildings which are going to be rehabbed and reused by the developer. Those are conversations that we are having on an ongoing basis as well. I do want to, and I mentioned it to Chairman Kinlock earlier, for those members of the commission and staff who were scheduled to go on the tour today of the facility, I do want to apologize. I want to thank Tim Johnson for taking my call last night. I learned late afternoon that CGL had made a recommendation that for staffing reasons and some resulting safety issues, that was not a good idea for us to do the tour yesterday. One of the elevator that would be used to take people up and down the courthouse and see all the various things was not going to be available yesterday. And so that would have been a bad idea. And so we are looking at probably about a 2-week lead time. Hopefully on rescheduling that. I've asked Daryl Jones and Michael Al from buildings to work with Tim to get that rescheduled. So we'll have that done for you as quickly as we possibly can. I had baked, I was in the process of baking cupcakes and making sweet tea. And so I promise to have that for you the next time, sir.
Thank you. No, so it's great to hear that everything is moving along as planned. These dates pretty much are in line with what you reported out at our last meeting. One thing that I did request, and our staff, commission staff, has been excellent in reaching out to the end users and the impacted departments to make sure that they become part of this committee meeting, but also more importantly, part of the record in making sure that the commission is aware and being told that they are satisfied with their participation and the progress that would most impact their operations. And with that, I would like to ask, is there any of the end users? Okay, so let me ask you this. From an official standpoint, who are those end users in general that will be the impacted departments that will be utilizing these facilities?
Sure. The Sheriff's Department, obviously, the juvenile detention staff, the court, there's a clerk's office team. There are folks who will work with our what we used to call our jail medical in the adult detention facility. We even have outside the county entity, the Michigan Department of Corrections. They have a probation office that will be located inside of the facility. Just as a background on that, right now, they are located within several blocks of Frank Murphy Hall of Justice.
On Clinton Street.
And when we move into the new facility, there's just synergies that make it, an absolute necessity that they're in close proximity. And so we made some changes early on in the project once it became clear that 36th District Court was originally scheduled to have certain courthouses, or rather courtrooms inside the facility, that they were not going to be moving in. So we converted that space into usable space for Michigan Department of Corrections. So they are one of our end user teams, although they're not technically a county department. And so our CGL, and specifically Bill Lawhorn, who has in the past appeared before this committee, I'm not sure since you've been chairman, Commissioner Kinlock, but has appeared here before. And I think that there would be value that if not later on this summer, at least by the fall, that we bring CGL, as well as, per your suggestion, some of the folks from our end user groups to appear before you. They can tell you to my face how unreasonable we're being about pushing them to move in and be as ready as possible. And I may even have a few suggestions as well. And so that's a point well taken.
So we've invited them to come to all of our meetings moving forward as we're winding down here. And so with that being said, are there any of the end users who may be present at the meeting, who may be online or in the audience, who would like to speak to the progress of the construction, as well as the build out as it relates to any of their operations? Are there any end users who have any concerns, any thing that you would like to bring forward at this time? Can you please unmute the Zoom?
All lines have been unmuted.
And please raise your hand if you would like to be recognized. Any county department, agencies, or individuals that would be considered end users of this facility. There's appears to be no one raising their hands. So it seems like you're doing a great job in communicating with the, I guess, the appropriate end users.
Listen,
I will assume
I give a
that
lot
to
of
be.
credit to Carter Fisher and Bill Lawhorn, our CGL team. We've got a great team of folks working hard on it, and we do communicate on a daily basis. So.
Yes. Okay. Is there anyone else who is part of your team who would like to bring some additional information that you've already, over and beyond what you've already presented?
No, I don't see anyone else here. Daryl Jones is part of our team, and we have a meeting on
Daryl just
Friday.
need a permanent seat in our commission meeting. He's just always here. No.
But no, we don't have anything else to report unless Daryl would like to say something.
Okay. And then, of course, I'll ask commission staff, is there any questions or any concerns? Nope. Okay, this is great. This is totally different from the old jail construction. But look, in regard, any question from commissioners? I'm sorry. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just
Thank
a
you.
quick comment, Mr. Heath. So it looks like we're still on target for completion, correct?
Absolutely. Things are moving along well, and we are working at a feverish pace to make sure that we not only have the building erected, but our staff members moved in within the time frame for the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Heath.
Yes, Commissioner, Vice Chair Anderson.
Thank you. Just wanted to ask you real quick. I know you said that we're pretty much on schedule. So we haven't really been affected by supply chain, any issues that we have that's has the potential of delaying us? Because I thought I saw on Carter's report that we received that there was some things that had not been delivered on time, but I don't know if they're less significant things.
We don't have anything, and so that's an excellent question, and we continue to work with the general contractor and the developer on this on a regular basis. We don't have anything that we believe will impact our outside schedule right now. But as you well know, there's a number of decisions and contracts that we are working to let now and get prepared for your body to review. Source Blue is already working. And so if we are successful over the next several months, Commissioner Anderson, in terms of getting the things ordered that we need, I am confident that we won't have an impact to the outside dates that we have. The flexibility that the general contractor has shown in being able to kind of move from one area to another, if there's a small delay or a small hiccup in one area, but to make up that time in something else has been helpful. Because there's still, quite frankly, enough work to go around that folks can be busy, even if one area in the sequencing is not what they would like. But, the next few months are going to be crucial for us, and getting the information to developed on our side, presented to you as commissioners for approval, and then ultimate ordering so that we don't move outside of those dates. But right now, we don't think that we're going to be in that situation.
A couple of other questions. Are the meetings taking place with the end users as far as the moving process? And does that seem to be working out?
So we meet weekly with our end users. Those meetings are primarily led by the transition team at CGL. There's a construction team, and there's a transition team. So they're meeting on a weekly basis with them. They're also meeting, transition folks are also meeting as appropriate with the architects when that is needed. They're meeting with the buildings department. I think probably if Daryl was sitting here, he'd probably tell you that he's had 3 meetings this week already with end users, along with Michael Al. And so that process is ongoing, and there's no want of communication in that regard.
Some of us this morning, when this just came to mind, some of us this morning had meetings requested by those that are the indigent representation in the court. And I'm just wondering, have you been looped in at all on that? Because they're looking at trying to improve the ratio that they currently work under. And I'm just concerned if they might they don't think so right now, according to the two people that I met with. They're not seeing any problem with space, but I'm wondering, because I know we have to provide meeting space, and that was an issue that came up probably last year, that seemed to work out satisfactorily. But do you see anything if that ratio changes to be half of what it is right now, the number of, twice the number of attorneys, basically?
So against my better judgment, I'm going to step on Director Robin Dillard's territory here and tell you that. So number one, yes, I met with representatives from the union. I believe they're UAW local, who are seeking to represent members of Neighborhood Defender Services Detroit. Just as we go back, you may recall when we were presenting this contract to you all, the workers in Neighborhood Defender Services of Harlem were in the process of unionizing then. So we knew that, and we consider that to be a positive thing. They're engaged in that same process here in Detroit. And, as far as I can tell, the leadership at Neighborhood Defender Services of Detroit are working along with them, and that process is going smoothly. One of the things that they see as very important, and this is just per my conversation with them yesterday and going back, is, as you said, the number of felony cases that should be covered per indigent defense attorney. You will recall that before our contract, we were up to close to 300. And almost immediately when NDS came, because of some of the funding that this commission approved, because what we were able to get from the state, that number is cut in half. So it's about at 150, which is, as it stands, a standard that is recognized. There has been a report that was commissioned by the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, which, for ease of discussion, roughly cuts that in about half. That is a standard that the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission is reviewing along with Laura from the state. When that will come out, I don't know, but it is anticipated that sometime into the future, there may be a state standard addressing that very issue. The union that met with you, they would like Wayne County to take an initial stance on that issue, even ahead of anything that the state does. Our position is that, number one, we're supportive. We're happy if the workers there are unionized. That's a positive thing. I think most of us here would support something like that. Two, the budget that we get from the MIDC is informed, our budget request rather, is informed by the budget that Neighborhood Defender Services gives us. This is what it's going to cost Wayne County for us to do 35% of the felony cases in your county over the course of a year. We take that and then we add the things that we need to add, because we're not just worried about the public defender's office, if you will, but also private attorneys who do work. We're also looking at training. And so it's not just NDS in terms of our whole proposal. Robin will probably come to you maybe in the next at your next meeting or soon thereafter. We, for the first time in the history of our department in Wayne County, we've gotten our budget approved, our plan approved by the state of Michigan. She and her staff did that this week, as earlier than we've ever done, and for more than we've ever gotten. My suggestion, and I'll wrap this up, has been that they work with the attorneys at NDS, work with the management at NDS, present a proposal to us about, listen, we'd like to reduce caseload, if that's what it is. Present that proposal to us, and we will, as we have done with everything else, include it in our budget request to the state of Michigan. Maybe we have to amend our request if there's, appetite for a pilot program in Wayne County or whatever. We'd be happy to do that. And so I guess that's a long-winded answer to your question. In terms of the space which you under your leadership, this committee worked with us in getting a settlement from the state of Michigan of over $2 million. That related to attorney-client meeting rooms. And we are confident that the space that we have set aside we were going to do it anyway. Now I can say that after we've gotten the money from the state, but that we've received, that is going to be sufficient completely to accommodate the work that not just the workers, the attorneys at NDS or other folks who are doing indigent defense, but any attorney who needs to meet with their client. And so we're very, very confident that that remains solid, and we're headed in the right direction.
So it seemed as though they were hoping to get the county support with MIDC to do a pilot program. That's what I was told. And I just would think they have, MIDC does not have an infinite budget to do some things that they may want to do. So I think we have to probably, be supportive of moving forward, but not, we'll have to see, like you said, we may get a great deal of pushback from MIDC.
I think you summed it up well. We're supportive conceptually,
Mhm.
and we will ask if we get a proposal from NDS, hey, county, put this into your next budget request. Unless there's something in there that we would find objectionable, we'd probably do it. And then we advocate and the state will make its decision. We pay a local share that's based on a formula. And when I came to you and asked this commission to support this concept of changing our indigent defense, I told you what that formula was. Is based on 3 prior years before the inception of the department. And, the county does not intend to go beyond that in terms of support. I mean, I don't have the exact number. The budget director, Robin, can tell me, but it's in the neighborhood of probably almost $8 million now. We got a grant of over $30 million from the state. That's not a delta that we could make up or add much more to, especially if you're talking about cutting caseloads in half. So we're a part of the discussion, Commissioner, and we'll continue to be, but there's a lot more that needs to be done on that.
Has MIDC given any indication they would support a pilot program?
They met this past Tuesday. I was not at that meeting. Robin Dillard was. She was present in Lansing. She'd probably be a better person to address that. But I feel 99.9% confident that there was certainly no formal statement by the MIDC. Because as you remember, they're looking at the entire state of Michigan.
What last thing I have is a parking update. Is there anything new to report on parking where we're with the latest assessment on what our needs are going to be, as well as potentially additional parking? So
where we're spending most of our time, and since we've last spoke, is in conversations with the city of Detroit, which has property there, which is which has some potential for alleviating some of our parking issues. We're continuing to discuss with them. And so once we get closer to any sort of formal resolution, obviously that's something that will have to come before you all as well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Heath, can you just have a regular update as it relates to parking as a regular update as part of your report? Yep. Okay, with that being said, let's see, Commissioner Baidoon, do you have any additional questions?
Additional questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Does that conclude your report?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item on the agenda.
Item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I know of none. Next item on the agenda.
Item F, public comments.
Okay, I would first like to ask, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this committee? Madam Secretary, would you please unmute the participants on Zoom? And I ask whether or not there's anyone on Zoom who would like to address this committee. You see any raised hands?
No raised hands.
Do you receive any emails?
No emails have been received.
Thank you. Okay, we will now conclude public comment and the next item on the agenda.
Adjournment.
Motion
So
is in
moved.
order.
So
Is there
moved.
support?